Why you need this supplement on a high-protein diet. Biotin's game-changing effects explained by a PhD. If you are eating a high-protein diet, you probably are not getting enough biotin, and this is especially true if you are a protein-fueled athlete and any of the following apply. Maybe you find your skin too oily, too itchy, or too red. If your blood sugar is getting out of control, or if you just feel down in the dumps, you're tired, you're lethargic, you feel a little depressed. And this is especially true if there's something more serious, like your hands and feet start tingling, or you get subtle sensations of something crawling on your skin. Alternatively, if you're pregnant or looking to conceive, this is something you really need to understand, almost regardless of how much protein you eat. Nevertheless, most biotin supplements on the market have doses that are actually too high. In fact, I myself gave my own self several weeks of clumsiness, short-term memory loss, and short temper by taking 10 milligrams per day of biotin for weeks. And this is a pretty normal dose out there. So most people who supplement with biotin are actually taking these high-dose supplements and are getting too much. And then almost everyone else is not getting enough. And if you're eating a high-protein diet, all the more with the extra stresses of athletic activity or pregnancy, but really just the high protein diet alone will push you from not getting enough, meaning not getting enough to be optimal, into a totally different territory of dangerously low. And this is not something that you want to put off fixing, because not matching your protein with sufficient biotin actually leads to toxic byproducts of branched chain amino acids that will be causing slow and steady neurological decline over time, even if they're not causing any overt problems acutely. Meaning, if you're worried about your cognitive health over the long haul, you really want to be minimizing any of these toxic byproducts, because you don't necessarily know that you're causing a problem to your long-term brain health just by how you feel at the moment. And then that just brings up, like, what are people thinking about when they detox, right? What's the point of taking all these detox supplements, getting lymph drainage massages and hitting up the sauna to work up a sweat, when the protein to biotin ratio of your diet is literally generating new toxins every single time you eat? So in this episode, you're gonna learn about how much biotin you need for a given protein intake, how much biotin you need for these other stressors, especially pregnancy, and how to get that biotin requirement from food and supplements. This episode is only available for 48 hours for free. After that, it's reserved for MasterPass members. So check out the link in the description for how you can get access to the video, the podcast, and the written and fully referenced article version forever, or for as long as you're a member. So this is what you're gonna learn about in this episode. You're gonna find out what biotin is, why no one seems to care about biotin, yet why everyone should, why pregnant women especially should care. We're gonna learn a bit about the basics of what biotin does, the biotin sparing effect of different proteins, leading to the protein paradox. So the protein paradox is the fact that biotin raises your need for protein, and yet there are proteins that spare some of the effects of biotin. And this can be a little bit confusing, but we're gonna dig down into it and explain it all. We're gonna look at the best markers of biotin status, the mysterious repetition of 30 and 300 micrograms in the various alternations of doses that we need claimed by different government agencies. We're gonna look at how much biotin we actually need based on the research and according to these different stressors, especially protein. So we'll express that requirement specifically as a function of protein intake, and then look at how it increases in pregnancy and lactation. And we're gonna ask whether, where do you draw the line between what's truly deficient and what's, biochemically suboptimal based on a marker? And some people would say that if you don't have any symptoms, you're fine. But as I said in the beginning, you can not have any symptoms, but you can have a toxic load in your body that is slowly degrading your brain health over time. So I'm gonna make the case that it doesn't matter whether they were deficient by some kind of symptomatic criteria. If you're not biochemically optimized, you're not biochemically optimized, and that will hurt your longevity. Your microbiome, why it won't save you. We're gonna look at the best biotin-rich foods, the so-called biotin rule of thumb. This is my rule of thumb for just how to really simplify, match this food to that food, in several sets of different types of foods. We're going to talk about egg whites as the enemy of biotin and the relationship to protein supplements. And then we're going to get down to the bottom line. So if this is TLDR for you, or TLDW if you're watching, or TLDL if you're listening, just scroll ahead to the end and you can get to the bottom line. And then as an add-on to this, one thing you'll find in the article that I'm not going to go into the video because it's just too technical, we're going to talk about in the article, so see the link in the description if you want the article, why the whole concept of databases of biotin in foods is a serious methodological crisis and why almost none of the numbers can be trusted. So nevertheless, let's get on